How you doing, folks? This is Sean McVeigh, Sean's Outdoor Adventures. In this video, I'm going to give you a review on the BowTech Amplify. So first I want to talk about some of the things I noticed when I handled this bow for the first time. The riser reminded me very much of the Diamond Edge SB1 or the Diamond Edge 360. I've owned both. Actually, I've bought them for my kids. So BowTech owns Diamond, so I think they're using the same basic type of riser here for this bow that you're going to see in some of the Diamond bows. There is a good draw length adjustability range on this bow. It'll go from 21 to 30 inch draw, and the weight range is around 8 or 10 pounds up to 70. So there's a nice range that you could really fit this bow for a lot of people. It's priced right around $600, so it's a mid-range type of bow. You'd typically imagine somebody intermediate to beginner using this bow. You could have somebody more advanced using the bow as well. It's just typically speaking, these bows are priced in that range, trying to hit that target of the market. The limb pockets are not aluminum. They're a different material. And I have talked to people from BowTech on the phone, and they've told me that this material is actually stronger than aluminum. But a lot of people who are paying for the high-end bows want to see aluminum for the limb pockets. So a lot of times that's what you're going to end up seeing on a high-end bow. But here, the limb pockets are a different material, kind of like a plastic, some form of a plastic type material. One thing I definitely really liked about the bow is that it comes with a limb stop on the top cam. So when you draw it back, it's a rock solid back wall. You don't usually get that firm of a back wall if it's a cable stop bow. And a lot of your mid to lower price range bows very often are cable stops. So they get a little bit spongy on the back wall. So I did particularly like that about this. And it's a nice cam system that the BowTech utilizes. You can check out their website for some of the more specific details of what they're building into this bow and how they're marketing it. But I just want to give you some hands-on observations, or data rather, that I've collected while I was shooting this particular bow. Solid back wall, there's one limb stop, top limb. Stays on the back wall really well. So when I measured the brace height, it was 6 inches right on the money. The axle to axle came in at 31 3/4 inches. The draw length was right at 30 inches. My peak weight hit 69 pounds on my scale. Let me just talk to you about that for a second. The bow comes with a tag on it, and the tag said 74 pounds. Now, from experience, I'm using a draw board, and you're using a winch to crank up the bow and draw it back, and the scale is attached to that. So what I actually do when I'm making my draw force curves is I go 1 inch at a time, I set it to that inch, and I let go, and I wait about 10 seconds on each inch to let the weight stabilize, and then I take a reading. So it's a very lengthy process, but what I do know from experience is if you just crank it up as fast as you can, the force you're adding while cranking is going to add to your weight reading. So the bow, I'm pulling against the bow. If I'm cranking hard and fast, my reading is going to come out higher than what it actually is. And so with that in mind, my highest draw weight that I hit on my chart on the right-hand side here actually occurred at 14 inches. It read 68.9 pounds. Now, I also want to point something else out here. After that 68.9 pounds, there's a drop to 68.52 and then back up to 68.68. What could happen there is my scale times out after a certain amount of time. So when I was at 14 inches, I actually had to let all the way down because my scale timed out and turned itself off, and then I had to start over. So there could be like that small incremental change there, could be due to the calibration of the scale from being restarted. So it shows a little bit of a spike there. The actual curve may be a little bit more rounded than what we see here. But this gives us a general idea as far as the ramp up into the draw force curve and when you're pulling it back. And then you'll see as you get farther back in the draw, it has a more gentle taper off. So if you want to see how this compares to other draw curves, go to the product reviews page of my website where I have lots of different bows listed there and draw curves and stuff. And what you'll especially see when you compare this to like one of your flagship bows is trying to get as much speed out of the bow as they can. The draw force curve comes up and it stays way up and then it drops down at the end real abruptly. On this one, we have a more gradual taper down, and that's for comfort. You know, when you have a new archer, so they're not like feeling jolty at the end of the draw cycle, it's going to ease into that full draw position. So this is what manufacturers typically do when they're designing a bow for someone who's a little more entry level to intermediate in the archery spectrum. But that's also going to translate into a bow that's slightly slower. So if we look at, I took 3 shots with a 350 grain arrow. If you look all the way on the left here in yellow, my average speed was 326 feet per second, and the noise was 78.6 decibels. Below that is the 450 grain arrow. The average was 290 feet per second, and it produced 78.2 decibels as an average. So you usually see a decrease in the noise of the bow the heavier the arrow. Now, I also, while I was at this location at Palo Outdoors, I shot the Matthews V3 before I shot this. And if I compare the two, just to give you an idea, you have a flagship bow, which they're charging around $1,200 for, about twice the cost of this bow. Where you're going to see the difference is in some of the parts, but also when the bow goes off, you'll feel a difference. When this bow goes off, I can definitely notice a little more vibration in it, so you can feel it vibrating in your hand. And another thing that I noticed is there was a greater decrease in noise of the bow when you increase the arrow weight by 100 grains. So because of the performance of the higher end bow, you're able to see a little more decrease in noise coming out. This one has a little more vibration to it, and because of the amount of vibration, there's not as much of a decrease in noise that's coming out of the bow. It's not a very loud bow. I mean, comparatively speaking, it's fairly similar to the bows that are out there. But you can feel a difference in the hand in vibration when the bow goes off. All in all, I think it's a great bow for the price, and I really, particularly a fan of a solid back wall, so I really liked having that limb stop. Before I close this video, I want to tell you about this, which I'm giving away, a brand new one. This one's mine. I'll be giving you a brand new one, the winner that is. This is a high-end Olympic-style recurve archery bow, and I'll be giving it away in the month of July. This one is a 70-inch long bow from tip to tip because I have a long draw length. But you'll get to pick the length bow that's going to fit you. So yours might end up being a little bit shorter, but all the high-end parts that you see here, you'll get with it's a whole package. So you get the sight, the rest, the clicker. So there's a little clicker that goes off when you hit full draw with an Olympic-style recurve. The stabilizers, the whole entire kit is what you get. So this retails for $799, and it rivals bows that cost over $1,000 more than that. This is a high-quality Olympic-style recurve bow. You could really take this to a national level competition, and it'll perform well, in my opinion. There's a link in the description section if you want to see this bow, or if you even just decide you want to buy one, you don't even want to wait to see if you can win. There's a link for it in the description section. Also, there is a link for the video where I assembled this, so you can see all the parts up close and how they come out of the package and how they get put together. In order to get in on that, you need to be a subscriber to my YouTube channel, because this is something I want to give to the people who follow what I'm doing. And stay up to date on my videos, but also subscribe to the newsletter on my Sean'sOutdoorAdventures.com website, because I will be sending out a registration form for winning the bow in the month of July. So if you want to get in on that, make sure you subscribe to the newsletter as well. I don't send out newsletters very often, but I will send one out with the registration in there because I like to call the winner live and just see if you've been watching the videos, what's the most recent one you've seen, and if you like it or not, and yeah, things like that. I want to call the person live and I need an address to ship it to, so that's why I send out a registration form. So I want to thank you for tuning in. All the details again are on the giveaways page of my website. You can check that out. Thanks again, and until next time, take care and God bless.